Hey there, what would you be doing right now if you no longer had to trade time for money in your business? Being a six-figure businesswoman means you have a lot of choices for early retirement that most people only ever dream of. So, in this episode of Fierce Feminine Finance, I'm going to share with you how to retire early using your business, even if you're already approaching retirement age and you have no other investments. So, if you're on here live with me today, comment the word live. If you're catching the replay, comment replay so I can swing back around and make sure all your questions get answered. And for those of you who stick around to the end, I have a very special gift, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Nicole Nadler. I am the founder of Fierce Feminine Finance, a money blog for business women who want financial freedom. And I have used what I learned about finance in my early 30s to go from having no retirement plan, no savings account, not even like a fallback plan, just a business that I loved, that I worked way too many hours in, to today, just 5 or 6 years later, I am on track to retire before my 45th birthday. So today I'm going to show you exactly how you can leverage your existing 6 or 7 figure business as part of a retirement plan. All right, as I promised, we do have a free guide that goes with this training. It's actually going to walk you through step by step all 5 of the retirement strategies that I'm going to talk about today, including journaling exercises to kind of help you get in the right frame of mind of like, what does retirement really look like for me? Do I need to sell my business or am I going to keep it? How does that all work? What would my ideal dreamy day look like if I was completely work optional? You need to have all of that mindset stuff done before you speak to a financial advisor, or we're going to waste a lot of time asking you these questions, probably charging an hourly rate that you don't really want to spend. So this is going to save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on your retirement planning if you fill out the free guide. And all you have to do is comment the word workbook below or go to my website, fiercefemininefinance.com/retirement guide, and you can download that for free today. All right. So without further ado, let's get right into today's training. Now, every time I talk about this, people kind of give me a funny look. Like, why, Sarah, are you saying that retirement is dead? I built Fierce Feminine Finance after an experience made me realize that the old retirement model is deader than a doorknob, actually. Back in 2018, I was working as a business coach in a corporate firm, and the company I was working for put on a workshop for existing clients. One of the keynote speakers was Eric Miller. He's the founder of Econologics, which is a financial advisory firm that works exclusively with private healthcare practice owners. So if you're a doctor and you own your own practice, you would be a good fit for Econologics, okay? My boss told me to go sit in on Eric's workshop, and he wanted me to be able to better understand what Eric offers so that I could make recommendations of that to my clients if they fit his services. I was late coming to his workshop, so I sat in the back, and I'll never forget the very first thing I heard him say in that workshop was, the retirement advice that you've been taught was never meant for business owners, okay? So why did he say that? The truth is, if we look at the old retirement model, it actually makes a lot of sense that he would say that, because the old retirement model, the whole idea behind it is you're going to save over 30 or even 40 years, right? Every single month, you're going to put money into your retirement savings like a 401k or an IRA or both. And over time, like I said, 35 to 40 years, that money will grow at a modest rate of, let's say, 8 or 9% until you have $2.5 million or more in retirement savings. That's kind of a good number if you want to be able to live off of $100,000 a year in retirement. So the problem with that, if you're a business owner, is that most business owners they hit the most amount of money they'll be making when they're in like their 30s, 40s, or even 50s or 60s. So if at the very beginning of your business, you're not making enough to actually be putting $750 a month into a 401k, you're losing out on massive gains that corporate girlies probably could be doing because, right, like they're not going to have the same kind of overhead that you do. In the beginning years of your business, it's usually the least profitable. So, a good example of this, in case you're wondering, like, should I follow the more traditional retirement advice and stock all my money away in a 401k, or should I follow what Sarah's about to teach right now? A good way to figure this out for yourself is go to calculator.net/investment-calculator and work out how much per month would you need to save in order to have $2.5 million by age 65. So for most business owners, by the time your business is really roaring and you're earning enough to have that kind of extra cash every month, you're too old really to take advantage of the amazing power of compounding interest. So you feel free to crunch the numbers yourself, but when I did the math, I was only 30 years old, and I realized it was already, quote, too late for me. I was like, oh, I missed out on all these opportunities in my early 20s to be investing and not have to put so much every single month, right? So I went, all right, there's got to be a better way. And that's when I started to learn more about what Eric had talked about in his workshop, which was investing in cash flowing assets, ones that will pay you passively every single month until you achieve financial freedom. And I define financial freedom as when your monthly passive income exceeds your basic expenses. So you no longer have to trade time for money. You're now work optional, financially free, financially independent, however you want to put that, right? This is the goal for most Americans. They just don't know that there is more than one way to skin a cat, right? So the first step to understand if you want to become financially free is to know your financial freedom number, also known as your freedom number. If you're a business owner and you want to retire someday, what does that retirement look like for you? And remember, I said we have a free workbook today that you can use to fill this out and figure out for yourself, what does that dreamy ideal day even look like? If I was completely work optional, how would I be spending my time? And you may find, like I speak to a lot of business owners every single day, obviously, and I find that a lot of them feel the same way I do, where you would still be working, right? You just wouldn't be working the same way. Like, I love public speaking. I will continue to do speaking gigs, whether paid or free, the rest of my life. It's one of my favorite things to do, right? I love blogging. I am completely a writer at heart, and I will probably continue to blog on Fierce Feminine Finance for the rest of my life, whether I have to or not, right? So becoming work optional is probably a better way of saying this than retirement. When I think of retirement, I think of like little old man in his walker and he's living on Social Security, or he's living on his, his pension or whatever, but he doesn't have to work at all. And that's actually not that great for your mental health, right? So figuring out what activities you would be doing if you were work optional. Maybe you'd be traveling a lot more than you are now. Maybe you'd be living as a digital nomad. Maybe you would simply have your home paid off and you'd be spending a lot of time with your kids or your grandkids. So what does that dreamy ideal day look like for you? And then what is the cost to live that dream lifestyle? Once we understand what the monthly cost would be to you to live that dream lifestyle, now we know your freedom number and we can start making investments to get us closer and closer to it. So I promised you 5 strategies for how to actually accomplish that. Once you've figured out your freedom number, there are 5 ways that a business owner can retire. 3 of them involve selling your business. Another one is to make your business so boring by building a team and hiring a CEO to manage them that you no longer have to be involved in the day-to-day. You just own it, right? And it brings you in passive income every month. The last strategy is my favorite. So let's walk through all 5 of them right now, all right? And again, if you're on here live, go ahead and feel free to comment the word live below and let me know which of these 5 strategies makes the most sense to you. Which one would you want to use in order to become completely financially free? So the first strategy, or the first 3 strategies really, involve selling the business in some way. As a business owner, the biggest asset you own is usually the business itself, if you're full-time in your business, right? And so we have to think with that asset as part of our retirement. So, getting a third party valuation, knowing how much your business is actually worth if you plan to sell it as part of your retirement plan. You can sell it to a business partner if you already have one, right? You can find a private buyer outside the business. You can obtain a buyout or a merger, meaning, maybe there's a big hotshot company in your industry who likes to buy up mom and pop locations, and you could sell to them, right? Those are the first three. The fourth one, like I said, is to make the business so boring by hiring a team, automating processes, and hiring a CEO and training them to take over the day to day. So you're no longer tied to your time inside the business and you're just drawing passive income from it. That's what Warren Buffett does, right? Like he owns 35 different companies. He doesn't pick up the phone calls of any of them, right? Like he is just being the owner, the investor of the boring business. So that is an option, especially for those of you who really love what you do. I talk to a lot of healthcare practitioners, a lot of coaches, consultants, speakers, artists, right? People who love what they do and don't ever want to stop doing it entirely, but they want to have it be completely work optional and retain ownership of the brand or the business. That can be a really great strategy for you. The fifth strategy is to make the business just one of many cash flowing assets in your investment portfolio. In other words, option 5, I think, is the safest route to retirement, which is to not only build up your business and sell it, or only build up your business and make it boring, but also invest outside your business in the stock market, in real estate, and building up a comprehensive portfolio of investments that will cover your basic bills and expenses, plus any fun money and, travel and things like that you want to do. So I think the primary barrier most businesswomen run into when they're trying to use their business as a retirement is not fully understanding how large of a company you need to own in order for it to operate as a good retirement plan. Because, maybe you have like a little side hustle, or you have a business that's like just barely making ends meet and you've never hit six figures. Those smaller type businesses are not going to operate as a retirement plan on its own. You're going to have other investments if that is where you stand right now. Right now, doesn't mean to say that you can't build up your existing business until it's big enough that you actually could retire from it, right? But a lot of business owners I talk to, they have never hit six figures, or maybe they've like made $100,000 in a single year, but not more than that. And that business is just not large enough. Like if you sold that business, you're not going to be able to retire off of the sale of that business. And if you keep it and you hire a CEO and you hire a team to manage it, the profit margin's going to shrink because you've hired all these people. And so what you have remaining is not going to be enough for you to live off of, right? That's why strategy number 5 is so powerful for business owners who have kind of a small or business, because the business itself is never going to be enough for you to retire on. Now, if you are making 7 figures, you're taking home a salary from your business that's at least $250,000 a year or more. Now we have a business that's sufficient size that you probably could retire from it. So let me talk to you, those of you who are in that later stage of business where you've built up this business that's making at least 7 figures a year. Let's talk about how that works, okay? Because a lot of businesswomen, again, I talk to, they are hitting retirement age. They have a business that they could sell, but they have no idea how it works. And it can be scary, right? This has been your business your whole life, or for maybe 20, 30 years. And it can feel really nerve-wracking and scary to like let go of that, right? So the first thing you have to understand is like, how much is your business worth? Most businesses will sell for between 1 and 10 times EBITDA. What the heck is EBITDA, right? So EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. In other words, it's another way of measuring the profitability, your net income, okay? So look at, a good rule of thumb here is look at how much you took home from your business last year. What was your income from the business last year? And you want to include things like your owner benefits. So maybe the company is paying for your car. Maybe it's also paying for your phone bill and things like that. If we add those on in addition to your salary, in addition to any actual profit on the books, we probably will get a pretty good idea of how much EBITDA is in your business. Okay. So if we take that number, uh, if the business owner is not super familiar with how to sell business and doesn't have someone in their corner, like a financial advisor, really helping them to do this, or a coach or a mentor helping them to do this, you're probably going to get around 1x EBITDA for the sale of your business. So if you made $250,000 from your business last year, you could sell that business for $250,000. That's not enough to retire, obviously, right? So what we want to do is we want to build systems in place in the business and get a professional valuation of the business and clean up its books and just make sure that the business is really like, rub off any scuff marks off of the business before you put it up for sale, so we can get closer to 10 times EBITDA. Because if you made $250,000 last year and you sold it for 10 times that, now we're looking at 2.5 million. You do have enough to retire, right? So it's very important, if you're choosing to sell your business as part of your retirement plan, to know how to actually do that correctly and how to increase the value of the business properly so that it looks the best to a buyer. Okay. So here's a couple of tips for those of you who are approaching retirement age. You have no other investments, you just have a business, and you need to maximize the value of your business so that you can sell it for enough to retire. If you're in that situation right now, listen up, grab the workbook, okay? Fill it out and listen to these tips. So first thing you'll want to do is look over the different roles in your business and start documenting your processes. Okay. You should have standard operating procedures, company policies that are written ways that things get done. All right. Everything from marketing strategies to your sales process to deliverables and how they get turned over to quality control, all these different areas of the business. We want to document those, because we want to make it possible for someone else to step into the business and have the greatest chance of success. So when we can, in a sales conversation with someone who's thinking about buying your business, when we can whip out this binder and say, hey, here's the company policies, here's how things are done, here's documentation of our successful actions, that business is obviously going to sell for more money than the same business making the same amount, but everything's just in the owner's head and it's kind of chaotic on the back end and nobody knows how anything's done except you, right? Like if I were the investor looking at those two businesses, which one am I going to pick, right? So that makes company policies very valuable in your business. Okay. So don't lose them once you've written them down. The second thing that you can do to increase the resale value of your business is creating repeatable revenue. So think things like memberships, subscriptions, monthly recurring revenue, any system that we can put in place for promotion that makes it much more predictable how much money will be made next month and the month after and the month after. Okay. Also, things like referral programs, reactivation of past clients, ways to re-sign a client who bought A to make them buy B as well, right? Anything like that that's going to increase the customer lifetime value will increase the valuable resale value of the business. I can't talk today. The third thing you could do when you're starting to get ready, you're approaching retirement age, you're trying to prep your business for sale, is make sure you get a third-party valuation. Find out how much that business is actually worth. I work with a local business broker here in Kansas City who will do a free valuation of your business when you're getting ready to sell it, or even when you're a few years away, just so we have like a baseline of what we're working with. I also recommend automating lead generation processes as much as possible. My team and I can help you with that, and automating the sales process in your business. So implementing regular training for your team, stabilizing your team, making sure that things will continue to run when you're no longer around. Okay. And lastly, we want to decide on a financing strategy. Again, I like to start this type of preparation 5 years or more before your desired retirement age, okay? Because there are some things we might need to shift or change in the business, and those business changes are not going to happen overnight. So, when you are thinking about selling your business, we want to decide, are you going to try to sell it for a lump sum? Like someone's going to need to go get an SBA loan and just come to you with all the money cash and put it in your bank account and then they get the business, right? Or are you okay with using seller financing or owner financing where you will actually be the bank and the person will borrow money from you to buy the business, which means you're going to get these monthly regular payments from the person who bought your business. Both strategies have pros and cons. Both strategies can create passive income for you in retirement. So it's important to know which strategy you want to use because our methodology of how we're going to prepare your business will be different depending on which one you're going to use. Okay. So just something again to be aware of, asking questions of your financial advisor on what are the impact of those two different choices, and also talking to your CPA, like how does this impact me tax wise if I take a lump sum versus if I do seller financing. Now, if you do choose to take a lump sum, a big mistake I made the very first time I sold my very first business is I just went ahead and I put that money in my savings account and I did not invest it. I did not in any way earn money off of that money. I just spent it down, and it took years for me to spend it down, which was nice. I got to like travel and give back to my community and write books and do all kinds of fun things, but I wasn't investing that money and it would have lasted so much longer if I had, right? So I want to introduce you to one financial strategy that I talk about with my clients when you are close to retirement age, selling your business for a lump sum. Okay. So I'm going to repeat that. So if you are already at age 60, 65, or you're trying to retire early, maybe you're 50 or 55, but you've got a 7-figure business and you know that you want to sell it as part of your retirement plan and you want a lump sum from the sale of that business. Okay. So you're going to get an immediate cash injection into your household at the sale of that business. Here is a financial product you should be aware of and understand the pros and cons of, okay? And it's called an annuity. So an annuity is a financial product that offers a guaranteed income stream. It has two phases, the accumulation phase when the investor is putting money into the annuity, and the annuitization phase when passive income is being paid out to you, the owner, okay? So the cool thing about an annuity is if you are over a certain age, certain types of annuities can actually be structured to pay out guaranteed passive income for life. That means that if you sell your business for, let's say, like $2.5 million and you put some of that money into an annuity, even if you outlive the amount of money that you put into the annuity, it's going to continue to pay out passive income all the way until the day you die. So annuities are a tool that have multiple advantages, but also a few cons. So I want to make sure you don't get taken advantage of. You don't, do this in a way that where you're uninformed and you don't realize the consequences of it. So let's talk about that. Okay. There's two types of annuities. There's maximum potential growth annuity. So we could put the money in an annuity in a way where we're asking the person or the company that we're buying it from to invest that money and make it grow as much as possible. Okay, that's option number one. Option number two is we could have an annuity that's structured for maximum predictability and longevity income annuity. Okay, so that means that instead of going for the most amount of growth we could get out of the investments, we're asking instead for just a steady, regular income stream, which there's pros and cons to both, right? Depending on your age, depending on your financial goals. Let's talk about these pros and cons for a minute. And we're going to talk about them in terms of some scenarios, okay? So let's go with this first scenario. You're a long-time successful female entrepreneur, okay? You built a successful business that supports your family. It's making seven figures or more, but you have no other investments besides that business. I actually talked to a woman in just this very situation last month, and this is a good example of when an annuity could be very, very powerful, because she and her husband have been doing this business in the trades for a very long time. And they were both feeling very exhausted about it. But because they have some debt and they have no other investments except the business, they both assumed that they would not be able to retire, like ever, right? They thought that they had missed the boat completely and it was totally hopeless. But the truth is that they were both taking home around $300,000 a year from this business, which means that it is sufficiently large that they could sell it for enough to retire on. So we got a valuation of the business. We took a look at it and we went, yes, this business could easily sell for between $2 and $3 million in the industry they're in, with the type of structure that they have and all of that. It was very well set up to do that. And if she put that money in an annuity, or even part of it in an annuity, that would guarantee them passive income for life. They would never have to work again. So that's a good scenario, an example of when an annuity would be a good idea. Here's another example. You just started a business and you plan to use it as your retirement plan. You want to retire early by hitting your freedom number and therefore have guaranteed passive income for life. Again, in this scenario, because you're so young and you want to retire early, an annuity is probably not going to be the best choice for you, because you can't turn that thing on. You cannot annuitize an annuity that young, right? So she would be better off using other financial strategies like investing in the stock market, putting some money in her IRA, right, or SEP 401k, and also maybe real estate, maybe some passive income streams, okay? Because that is one of the cons of an annuity, is that you cannot actually turn it on until a certain age, okay? You have to wait. Scenario number 3, if you believe the economy might crash after you retire and you need a way to ensure you don't lose all your hard-earned savings and investments. So just last weekend, right, we had a huge situation all around the world where a security company made some kind of like dumb update and it crashed all these different companies who have been using Microsoft, right? So we had like this IT outage all around the world. And because they were the cause of that IT outage, the security company that had caused it, their stocks dropped 11%. That doesn't sound like a lot, but they're such a large company that means that $9 million in wealth around the world just disappeared overnight, right? So when we see things like that happen, it's okay if that happens early enough in your retirement age or early enough in your age that like you could still save up enough to retire on time anyway. But if something like that happens in your investment portfolio after you've already retired, you could find yourself at like age 70 or 80 having to go back to work because the stock market crashed and you lost your retirement savings, right? So this is again one of the reasons why an annuity is so valuable, because the annuity is guaranteed income for life. That means that even if the stock market crashes and all your friends who are similar age to you are losing everything, your money is going to be safe inside that annuity. So this is one of the pros of using this kind of financial product. Okay, last example. You don't know much about investing. You want to put all your extra cash somewhere that feels safe. In this scenario, she's young, she's financially illiterate, right? She doesn't feel like she knows very much about finance and she just kind of wants to put it somewhere safe. Not a good idea. One of the cons of an annuity is that it's not going to get the same kind of gain as sometimes is possible in a 401k or an IRA. So if you're doing it simply out of ignorance, out of fear, just wanting to put it somewhere safe, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities to have lots and lots of growth of that money. Sure, it's a little bit more risky, but with that risk comes the potential for gain. So it's important to be financially literate and totally know with confidence that the strategy you're using is the best one for you and your age, your gender, your situation. Okay, so this is just something to think about in terms of where are you at, right, with your own financial plan. All right, so let's say that you've been watching this and you're going, wow, this is totally for me. I know that I want to sell my business as part of my retirement plan. Maybe I want to do other investments too, but I definitely know that selling the business is part of what I want to do. And I want to buy an annuity when I sell that business. Okay, great. So, what steps should you be taking in the meantime? Because maybe for some of you, that's like 3 to 5 years from now. Maybe for some of you, that's like 30 years from now or longer, right? Like maybe you're in your early 20s or early 30s and you're going, this is great to know, but I'm not going to need to know it for a long time. So, what should you be doing in the meantime? So, first thing is build your team. And I don't mean your team of employees. Okay. I mean the team of advisors who you need to have certainty that they have your back when it's time to sell that business. The last thing you want is to have sold your business and meet your CPA the same day you sell your business. Okay. That's a big problem because you're talking about large numbers now, right? Like suddenly getting more money in your bank account than you've ever seen in your life in some cases. And so you want to make sure that you trust your CPA. You know your financial advisor, moi, right? And you trust that person. You know your business attorney and you trust her, okay? So that's what I mean when I say build your team. Find a business broker, build a relationship with that person, find a financial advisor. I'm happy to be that person, but you can also pick someone else, right? Find an attorney who is going to look over your final purchasing paperwork, look over the contract that you signed, and make sure you trust that person. And of course, like I said, a CPA, because there are a lot of tax implications to selling your business. Okay. These are the team that you need to feel 100% confident that they have your back. All right. So that's something you can work on in your early 20s, your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever age you are. But years or even decades before you sell your business, you want to have already built a good relationship with those people. All right, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here to the Ultimate Retirement Strategy Guide. As I said before, this is our step-by-step guide to the things that we talked about today. It actually is going to cover all 5 of those strategies and some mental exercises to really get you in the right money mindset to make those kinds of decisions. You're going to get journal on your perfect retirement lifestyle, and then you're going to get walked through step by step. Once I've figured that out, what do I do? Right. And then once I've done that next step, what do I do? So I think you're going to really love this thing. It's absolutely free. So comment the word comment the word workbook below if you want a copy, or just go to my website, fiercefemininefinance.com/retirement guide. I will talk to you guys next week. Have a great one.